Welcome to today's episode of Prayers Make Miracles. Our guest today is Mr. Jeff Akers of Jeff Akers Film Network. Today we are going to talk about COVID-19 and its effects on the film industry currently and how we're going to move forward through that. We want to welcome Mr. Akers to our platform.
Hey, Miss Elle, and all those that are out there watching. How's everybody doing today?
Well, I don't know how everybody else is doing, but I am getting better. You know, COVID-19 tried to take me out, not from the disease, but just from the ramifications of the disease. So let's talk about why I invited you here today as one of my favorite filmmakers.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And talk about how you've always surpassed expectations in your philosophy, in your film production, in your ability to tell stories in a global way. Whether it's a short film or feature film or a documentary, you're able to reveal the intimate perspectives of numerous genres of films. And you can draw people in to the world that you created so just seemingly easily. So because of that, I wanted you to first tell us how you even got involved in filmmaking.
Okay. Well, I got involved in filmmaking in the mid-'80s, late 80s, and I didn't start out as a filmmaker. I started out as a recording artist, and I was on tour in China, which encompassed 9 countries, 32 cities. And while there, I needed a hobby, and one of my videographers introduced me to film, and then I went to school there at Haile Record and Film Institute, and really became, should I say, interested in it because it allowed me to do the music, tell the story, as well as the graphic and as the art form. And, you know, one of the great things was starting there, especially as an African-American filmmaker, kind of gave me a head start because the technology there was advanced then. Stateside, we didn't have available to us linear and digital editing. We were still editing with editing machines and cutting and splicing. And here they had a system where it was on a computer, and it was just intriguing. So I started out my career as a director directing music videos, of course, internationally and nationally. And there's lots of them. Some of them you can go back and you say, wow, like, oh my goodness. And the techniques that I developed, of course, they wanted to tell stories. So the music videos became short films within themselves. And that's how I really got started.
Wow. So tell me your most famous video that I would probably know. Music video, that is.
Famous music video, we got nominated. For my skill set, wanted to bring something different to the table in both filmmaking and in music videos. And one of the things that weren't there prevalent was any CGI, computer graphics integrated into video. And so we did a music video called Hey You by the artist James Scott or J Soul. And that J Soul music video just smashed. So what happened was, in the process of shooting that music video, the artist was from Philly. It was supposed to be this big, huge concert with thousands of people there. And when we did casting in South Carolina, they didn't show up. So I had to go in and create with me and my team. And I had a great team at that time working with me. So that whole music video, the crowd, CGI, the stage, everything is made CGI. So, for those that are watching, want to get it, you go to Hey You on YouTube, J Soul, and you can pull up that video. But the whole thing, the lighting, everything was done CGI. And I think when that hit, and we had a late entry, I think within 3 weeks of that video being in rotation, it still got nominated for one of the awards. So that's probably the most prevalent for CGI.
Well, I am definitely going to link that video to this recording for those who can't watch it live. So it'll be part of that. So
all right,
kind of we'll get some hits on that. So now that you are Mr. Akers, filmmaker extraordinaire, right? Are you still inspired by other filmmakers or producers?
For me, I'm encouraged and inspired by just about every filmmaker there is. You have a certain respect that's there for anybody that does that process to get a complete film, whether it's a short or whether it's a feature, is a whole lot of moving parts, and everybody's got a different system. So I can learn from any filmmaker something that I didn't know before, and it's got so many different ingredients and so many different components. You have the technical aspect of it, but then each director has a certain flavor or style that they bring to the table that allows you to be able to pull from. So, I have a couple different mentors in different areas and arenas of the film. Technically, when it comes to, the technical aspects of it, I have a very close associate that we work with, Mr. Keith Gardner out of Michigan, who is always pushing the envelope, mentoring in the CGI aspect in the world that we're trying to. We're creating something virtual that's not there. Like in illumination, you see these different components, and to be able to envision and direct something that's not there. Technology now, when they do CGI now, they have a new camera out. This thing just and millions of dollars that allow you to see while you're directing the CGI brought to life simultaneously. Of course, we don't have that, so we have to do it in our head. I have to see it and have markers and write the script and technically be able to convey the right terms to be able to get it from concept to fruition. So that's one. And of course, you have to be able to not just have the technical aspect, but you'll be able to identify with your audience to tell your story, to bring it to life, to have them embrace.
So do you have the green suits with the balls on it, or you just kind of...
You know what? We've used those on certain different projects. We've built different green screens. We do different stuff. It's always different depending on what the product is, what the story is, what it calls for. When you go to the movie Illumination, of course, I never intended to play that part or play that role. That role was developed for someone else, and unfortunately, 4 weeks into production, they passed away, and now I'm in the middle of a production, and I don't have my leading man, so I had to find someone who already knew the script, who could make it, and be ready to shoot, because we'd already had everything set up in 2 days, so the only person I could find was me. So I knew all the lines, and I did it, of course, because I wrote the film. But I admire those like Eddie Murphy, who can direct and still play parts, and all the directors that do it and do it so well. For me, I would never want to experience that again, to where I have to switch, my brain and be a director, and then yell cut on myself, basically, because I got my line wrong. but it was a challenge, and it was, for me to get that film done under those conditions and still have to act. And I didn't have, of course, a lot of the training in acting, although I've been in a lot of acting classes. But, as they say, the show must go on, the film must be completed. So, but I would never want to experience that again.
I think you did a good job in that movie.
Well, thank you. But that was probably one of my biggest challenges as a filmmaker.
Now you got me wanting to come and be on just behind the scenes. I don't think I want to be an actor. I just want to watch from your side of the camera, see what you guys are doing back there.
I'm much more comfortable behind the camera than I am in front of the camera. That behind the camera is my world, but you know, a lot of our great directors started, you know, in front of the camera, like Sidney Poitier.
Mhm.
Sidney, you know, of course, hands down, tremendous, tremendous, tremendous talent, both as an actor and as a director. One, you know, that I go back and glean. One of the great things about Sidney Poitier was in the 70s and moving into the 80s, he transitioned and did things that had never been done before. When you look at the movie with Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor, it was a comedy. And Sidney went from very serious roles to going into record comedy and does this massive hit because he was the highest paid African American director. I mean, back then, and his movies are classic and timeless. Of course, now we have Spike Lee and you know, God rest his soul, John Singleton, and so many different directors now that are part of our Black culture that we identify. But Sidney paved the way. He paved the way.
Wasn't that movie Silver Streak?
No. It was Stir Crazy.
Stir Crazy. Oh yeah, Stir Crazy.
There was a still, you know, Silver Streak. But Stir Crazy was the one that was.
I saw that too.
And it, you know, it was one of those movies where you think it would not be there. But you know, one of my other directors that I like is Ice Cube. Ice Cube is a sound director for the aspect of being able to tell his story. He's got his own signature series, but he transitioned. I guess I like transitional directors. That transition and you see the evolution of them grow and expand.
So talk about how COVID-19 is affecting, I would say, the pandemic, just not even the fact, just the disease aspect of it. Because pandemics always bring economic and social issues along with them. So it is not just in the United States or not just in South Carolina. It is a global issue. So being as though there's no one on any continent creating any content right now, how is that, other than the obvious, you know, financially, but how is it affecting the environment now, and what plans are you making for when it's over?
Well, I think, you know, for me personally, it's a two-part question. The first part of that question, of course, is, you know, how's it affecting us and how does it affect the film community? You know, from the biggest to the smallest, it's affecting us. And let's just talk about the film industry in the South, you know, just south of us, 45 minutes an hour. Atlanta, which was one in 2019, did something like 391 films, I believe. They did 391 films, which totaled $2.9 billion. Out of that, bring a revenue stream of $9.2 billion. Over 3,000 movies, and it's just 45 minutes away, an hour away. That gives us just a small inkling of how COVID-19 has stopped that. And you know, when you look at that, you got to, first of all, kudos to Mr. Tyler Perry, who's done a great job. He's there in Atlanta, one of the greatest sound studios, movie sets that there of our time. And it's affecting Hollywood. It's affecting small film directors, independent film directors, as well as it has affected and will continue to affect our creativity. For some, we will start learning how to develop making films, you know, from a different perspective. And I believe that day is coming. They had a movie out, I think it came out maybe 10 years ago with Elle Pacino, and it was called Simone. And it was based on a whole premise of him having his lead lady be CGI, and he made her. And I think for the filmmakers that want to tell their story, they'll evolve and tell their stories just like you did with cartoon animation. And being able to do what we're doing now and still be able to film that and write scripts like that. You know, Human Khalili 6 years ago made a movie called Olive, and he shot it all on a smartphone and transitioned the whole, and you know, it was nominated for Academy Award. Evolution is how we are able to combat what COVID-19 is doing in the film community. You know, what the fallout and domino effect will be for filmmakers when it comes to the financial aspect, we don't know because, basically a film is like setting up a whole town and a whole city. Mm-hmm. And that's why it's so important that our film commissioners, extend those tax breaks to be able to bring filmmakers there so that we can raise the revenue stream. And one of the biggest things that we have, especially as independent filmmakers, is being able to get the finances to do films. And so, distribution is one thing, and now we have that in place. And I think for the filmmakers who have products, who are trying to finish products, and who will have to, EK Media is going to be a platform that's going to be a godsend for them, because now they'll have digital distribution for their film, because it's going to be a platform that allows it to get out to all these different formats. The second part of that is directly, not being able to tell the stories and move forth for those not being able to go to movies. People are home, they're still crazy, they're watching TV. But there's something special, there's something unique about going to the movies. I'm a movie buff, so I love going to the movies. And that whole process for the social enactment of it is something that we're missing. We're already missing it. People are already missing it. The first thing they say is, I can't go to the movies. I can't go do this. But I think, how we're going to combat that is film groups working together and finding the money and resources so that when we're able to, people like me will have the funding to go do the next film.
Figured out how we can do virtual film festivals. That was one of the things that we had to figure out for Film Shorts channel, right? Because we had one planned for August, and with the rug being pulled out because of COVID, we had to pull back. And now where we were like, okay, so what can we do and how can we do? Worked out a plan to be able to offer film short makers the opportunity to have even greater exposure during a film festival, because a building can only hold X amount of people. Virtually, we can do, billions of people if they show up, that kind of thing. So we're working on the marketing aspect of that based on social distancing. They're going to have to figure out how people are going to be able to go to the movies, and that's going to take a longer, seemingly, it's going to take a longer period of time to be able to step through that gate. So
it is.
Yeah, so we're going to create as many virtual opportunities for filmmakers as possible. With Film Shorts itself having over 20,000 subscribers as of the end of March. And I'm sure that has grown since then because we've been promoting it and talking about it.
Yeah, kudos. It's growing rapidly and it's just getting started. And it's just going to go skyrocket. I think one of the things that many people are not going to be prepared for is the inflated cost to make a movie now. Eventually is going to be astronomical, because you think about the scenes now, in between scenes, to keep people safe and what it's going to take on that set. I think making movies is one of the most up and close personal jobs you can have, between your boom operator, your light operator, your gaffer, everybody else is your best boy, first grip, all these people that are on the set are doing things, and then you have all those who play roles. And now, you think the actors were asking a lot of money before. What's a kissing scene going to cost now with COVID-19?
Yeah, makeup artists, everybody else.
But just the interactive with that, and I think with this, there's going to be many actors that are going to have to up their A game to be able to carry films based more on the story without all the bells and whistles and things like that. With the action, you got that. But when you start making films that are a lesser budget, you're going to have a better actor to be able to tell your story. And those are all components that are really, really necessary. And when you look at filmmakers, one of my favorite directors is Ron Howard. And he's very eclectic as a filmmaker, because he's done so many and he's been around it since he's been a kid. And you can go from Apollo to the Grinch as a director and make that work. It's phenomenal. But it's all based upon having the right casting. And so now, when you look at movies like Fences, that was a small cast, and most of that movie was only 3 to 4 people that really interacted. And I think we're going to see a lot more movies where the actors carry the weight versus all the extras, all the hoopla that goes with some of the CGI, special effects, big boom, because now the if you look at the evolution of how film got there, before we had all those, it was a simple story. You go back, it was Lassie.
Right.
Dog, boy, son.
Yes. And then it's so funny, when you said no more CGI, I was like, oh man, no more Groot. And then I thought, well, Groot is just a replacement for Chewbacca. So
yeah,
I guess people have to go back to suits.
You still have those, and the fortunate thing about CGI is we'll have more CGI movies because you can do that at home on your computer, or you can have you go to houses like Pixar where they've got 200 computers daisy chained together and an operator, and a lot of this stuff is created CGI, which does make it easier. It's just going to be more more costly. It's going to be more costly.
All right. So how about you tell everybody where they can find Jeff Akers films, how they can go to your movie theater and all that, since you can't go out to see it. So talk about that for me.
Well, I do have a virtual theater on my site, and it's free movies, everything's free except for the popcorn. You got to get your own popcorn. And you can go to jeffakers.net. That's JEFFAKERS.net. And if you go to the Jeff Akers Films on that network and scroll down to the bottom, you'll be able to watch movies. And you'll be able to go to EK Media or go to Roku. You can find it on Roku Film Shorts, and you'll be able to watch it right there. And I believe Miss Elle, you have an announcement to make. We got some other platforms that's coming around the corner real fast. Tell us about that.
Okay, so Film Shorts is currently only available on Roku. And within the next few days, it'll be available on Apple, Fire, and Chrome. And we also are going to have a virtual setup where you say you don't have streaming channels. You'll be able to access the content on the channel. The next time that you see Jeff and I together on a video, we will be live on our own platform right now.
Yay! Kudos! Awesome! Good stuff.
Yes, definitely want you guys to go check out jeffakers.net. There's a lot of content on there. There's more than just films. And so what instrument do you play? I know that somebody's going to ask that question.
Well, you can go to that website. You can also get my CD. It's a jazz CD, New Jazz Praise. I started out in several different instruments. Started off with brass, then went to, of course, saxophone, then keys, and then drums. And in that, just a lot of hold on, we got a different call here. So, okay, we got a guest caller.
Got a guest caller. They didn't get us up through the pipeline.
Hello,
this is Tyler Perry from Tyler Perry Productions. How's it going?
This is Mr. Tyler Perry. How are you? Did you say Tyler Perry or Tyler Berry?
Tyler Perry.
Tyler. Oh, I thought it was Tyler Perry. Well, Tyler, thanks for calling, and say hi to Miss Elle.
How's it going, Miss Elle?
Hey, Mr. Berry, how are you? Thanks for calling us.
Thanks for calling. Listen, one day you're going to get that call. We're going to be getting those kind of calls from Tyler Perry and those that are out there that are reaching the world, because we're doing the same thing just at a different level. And, thanks Mr. Tyler Berry calling in. But I'm waiting for that call from Mr. Tyler Perry with a P, not a B. But go ahead. I'm sorry. We were interrupted by Tyler.
That is not a problem. I just want you guys, Jeff is very, let's say, professional and serious about his business, but he is also a jokester.
Well, you got to have fun at what you're doing. You got to enjoy
Absolutely,
it.
absolutely.
You definitely can't be too serious in this industry because, one day you can, be wondering how it's going to happen. And the next day you got a call, somebody's telling you they want to fund your next thing.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not prepared, this is why you can't have fear. And this is why you have to forge forward from fear. I will never forget the call that I got for somebody saying they wanted to fund one of my films. But the issue was I had to take $2.6 million. Well, I'm just looking for a couple $100,000. So to get the call saying you got to take it was like, I don't believe it. Something's got to be wrong with this. And now I've learned, when that phone call comes, you have to be prepared to walk in that door. And so you have to eradicate fear and you have to face it. And one of the things is you have to forge forward and you got to enjoy what you're going to, do. I love my job. I love being able to help people make films, meet wonderful people, network, motivate, inspire others. And, it's just
okay.
great.
So our last announcement for today is a project that Mr. Akers kind of inspired us to kind of forge. We are looking at doing a 501c3 that is to help filmmakers improve their skills, to learn new skills, to have money to fund new projects, to also create an environment where collaboration with larger studios is possible. Really in the beginning stages of that. We should be ready by the end of the fall, beginning of winter. There are several opportunities across South Carolina for this to be possible. We want to help all types of filmmakers and also people who are moving into the industry. We want to be able to make 391 movies in South Carolina so that we can bring those kinds of dollars right here. There are people who can make amazing films. I've seen so many very excellent film shorts. We are working to bring as many of those to you on the Film Shorts channel as possible. We are focused on this as a project because know that films need to be made because content it's not only films, but films is where it begins. The goal is to eventually reach, feature film status, but kind of starting with film shorts and maybe some TV shows and all those kinds of things, and to have a platform to engage with people who are interested in your content, to reach people who may not have been willing to open their door before. Though that's a big deal because you have ratings, and that's something. It's kind of like that whole Instagram situation where before a music station or music producer or whatever you want to call those, they want to see that you have a following on Instagram. Well, when did that start? Why? Before it was you had to have a good sound and you had to be able to sing, and then they produce you so that you can kind of grow and whatever. Now they want you to already start and have something before they even want to talk to you. And that's kind of how it's going with film.
Right now it's that way with everything, and the analytics, because of social media, allow those that are either investors or those that are going to partner with you to be able to see, one, do you have the tenacity for the business? Two, do you already have a warm market or a test market? For me, I think, it's so important for this 501c3, and I'm just thrilled to be a part of that and to be able to help facilitate one of the things that is a desire for me. Of course, I'm a transplant from the upstate. I came from Michigan And coming from Michigan to here, one of the things that I noticed right off the rip was this tremendous division between filmmakers because of this huge lack of resources. And if we can come together, if we can start being able to create us a film community that will bring economic stabilization to the African American film community and to filmmakers within the state of South Carolina. We have a position now to go to the film commissioner and to state agencies and get the tax credits that are necessary to bring in other big film companies that would work with us. And that's why Atlanta has been, or Georgia itself as a state has been so successful, is because of the film credits. And this is a process that we need more of in the upstate, so that when we do have investors, it makes it more appealing for them to back our type films. The other piece of this is it provides jobs, tons of jobs. And I don't think people hear how many jobs it can provide for the upstate when we're able to do films. We don't have a should we say, film that, or known as a film industry here in South Carolina for our films being on the big screen. Although we have got some tremendous filmmakers, period, that are African American, that are Caucasian, that are white, that are doing tremendous films. But again, we still need the funding, and we still need that undergirding to take it to the next level. And by doing what you're doing, what EK Media is doing, this 501c3, and positioning things to educate filmmakers, motivate filmmakers, and build an actual film community that allow us. Now, there's some great things in Charleston that they got going on for filmmakers, and some great schools there for filmmakers, and it's a great opportunity. But the whole thing here is building a economic foundation so that it's not one and done. We don't want to be one-hit wonders. We want to build a system that allows us to continue to be able to shine the light on filmmakers in the upstate.
Absolutely. And we will let that be the last word for today. Remember that prayers make miracles. We're going to thank Mr. Jeff Akers of Jeff Akers Film Network. And we want you to visit jeffakers.net. We'll definitely be doing this again. So the next time that you guys actually see us together on screen, will be on our own platform, and we will be doing some amazing work together, and as well as bringing some other people through. So have a fantastic time. So the next time I see you or you see me.